I'm your host, Cohen Vogel, and this is Saturday Morning Recorded. And for today's special guest, that's Josh Carlson, aka Mr. Carlson. Now, for your weekly tidbit of news, it's that you're more bacteria than you are human. Here's our special guest. Mr. Carlson.
Hi.
Okay, now for our first question, I'm going to ask you, what have you been doing during quarantine?
Well, Cohen, I've probably gained like 10 pounds eating, but what I've been doing mostly is I've been hanging out with my almost 2-year-old son. My wife doesn't like me to say 2 because she gets real sad, but just yesterday, me and him were running around with fake lightsabers, and it's been really hard, Cohen, to go back to school because now I gotta send him to daycare, and all I've been doing is playing with Oscar all this time, and it's that I really have cherished the opportunity to hang out with my son and just chill and have fun with him.
Now, you're a history teacher, so what's your favorite part in history that you get to teach about?
There's a lot, but I think the thing I love about that time period I teach is, as a kid, I would go to church and we learned about Bible stuff, and most of the stuff we're learning about, like the Assyrians, the Romans, and the Greeks, were all talked about in the Bible, and that kind of stuff makes me excited. Also, I just like ancient history. I like Greece and mythology. Like, I love hearing about Zeus and all those. Just you and me have talked about that stuff, Cohen. I just like the stories, and some of those stories, like about Hercules and the jobs he has to do, are just crazy things. So I think, yeah, I like mythology too. So.
And then what's your what are some of your hobbies?
Well, last winter I picked up a new one. It's called skate skiing. It's kind of like cross-country skiing, and it's a lot of fun. You ski about as fast as you run, and I wish I was a biathlete because then you get to shoot a gun too while you ski, and then you stop and you shoot a gun, and there's a penalty lap of about a mile if you miss the target. So that would be fun, but I do like the skate skiing, and I love triathlons. I did a triathlon this week in Detroit Lakes, and man, I love triathlons. It was a lot of fun. Pretty hilly course. Yeah. So.
And then what's going to be your favorite book?
My favorite book, I'm glad you asked that. There's Boys on a Boat, which is about the history of canoe, competitive canoeing, and then another good one is Unbreakable. I love that they talk about they go into really great detail about World War II planes, and then it's like for real life Forrest Gump. It's first of all, the guy is like a world-class runner, then he goes to and even meets Hitler, goes into World War II, flies on a B-24, which is a flying coffin, was the nickname because it was such a cruddy plane. Then he gets stuck in the ocean and sets the world record for being stuck on a inner tube thing because his plane was shot down. He was in a prison camp, and then he was an alcoholic, and then he changed his life and helped out children. He is the real life Forrest Gump. I would highly recommend Unbreakable. So, what would you recommend? Favorite book, Cohen?
Well, I have a bunch of favorites, but my top favorite would probably be the first Percy Jackson book. That's probably my favorite book.
That makes sense. You love mythology.
Okay, so that's all the time we have for today, but thanks.
Oh boy.
Here's Eva's Word of the Week.
Backbreaking.
And here's 30 Seconds of Nature. for my book recommendation this week, I'm going to recommend this book, The 13th Story Treehouse. It's by Andy Griffiths and illustrated by Terry Denton. Okay, it's a pretty fun book. It's a nice, easy read. It's fun. It's a good childhood book. Now for my adventure this week, part of my adventure, I should say, was learning how to ride bike with the cello on my back. That was pretty fun. And then I drew a picture on my dad's whiteboard like I do normally for tradition. It's been a tradition for a few years now. And then here they are.
So for the last 5 years, Cohen has been nice enough that on map test days, I erased the map so now they can't use it for their test. But behind it, it's been an epic battle scene. It started with Star Wars, many years it was that. I think then I maybe did the Marvel movies. He might have did Harry Potter, I'm not really sure. I think we got some Stranger Things. But this year, the first quarter of the school year, so 2020, 2021, they will get Lord of the Rings. So Cohen, why don't you explain what we got here?
This is the tower. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. It's like Orthanak or something like that. And this is Saruman, and here's the Ents attacking it. You see there's a few orcs and stuff. There's a ringwraith on what I think is a Nazgul. There's... I don't remember what this is called, but something with a B, and then there's Gandalf, and then down here's Aragon, and here's 4 more ringwraiths, and then right here's Frodo, here's Sam, and here's Gollum on our little rock there. There's an orc again, and then here's the part of the story where Frodo is riding away with an elf on a horse while 5 ringwraiths are chasing him, and then they get washed away in the river. Here's Rivendell, and there's Elrond and some other elves. And then here's the Battle of Helm's Deep with the Rohan riders. Well, haven't drawn them riding their horses yet, but there's a ladder up there. There's Boromir with his horn. There's the orc leader. And then there's Merry and Pippin getting taken away by the orcs. And Legolas, and there's Gimli the dwarf. Legolas the elf and Gimli the dwarf. And then these guys, they said they were the pink guys, they're wild men. The book described them. They were also part of the army attacking Helm's Deep. And there are also wolf riders, so there's like a wolf and like a little goblin on him. There's a few of those. And then I scattered some wild men around them, and most of them are orcs and things. And for right now, that's my entire picture. This is your host, Cohen Vogel, signing off. Now, for my book